Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and if you're just getting started out with 4K, here are the top 10 titles I feel that you should definitely be checking out first. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter and Instagram at Movie Guy 365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I will go ahead and leave a link for that in the description. Alright, so I get asked a lot of times like what I would recommend as far as 4K disc. Like you're just starting out in 4K, you want to get a bunch of titles to really show off your system. And you know, I thought I'd put a video together that I feel are great movies to start off with. Now I try to make this list very inclusive. I didn't want to just focus on one particular genre or anything like that, although Lord knows I could do that. But I wanted to give you just overall what I feel are great titles that I personally own and I've reviewed or seen in my, just many times, and I was just overly impressed by. Now there's a very inclusive list here. So as I said, it's just gonna be a little bit of everything. So if something doesn't particularly interest you, you can just, there's 9 other titles on the list you can choose from. So as I said, not in any particular order, let's start off with what I would recommend as far as 4K discs. Now the first one I'm gonna recommend is a more recent release, and that is Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible Fallout. I think out of most of the films on this particular list, it's definitely one of the most filmic, but it really shows off like a great amount of detail, shows off the black levels very nicely, and there's a fair amount of color pop, it's provided by Dolby Vision or HDR. Now speaking of Dolby Vision, if your particular system doesn't support it, don't worry, because HDR is, you're really getting a whole lot going on with just general HDR. Dolby Vision just serves to enhance that particular thing a little bit further. It gives you that little bit extra oomph. But if you don't have it, don't worry about it. It's really, it's okay. So you're getting a great amount of value with HDR as it is. But Mission Impossible Fallout is absolutely, I feel, worthy to be on that particular list. It's a great movie to boot. It's action. It really shows off what native 4K can look like on an action kind of setting. And it should give your system a good workout. It'll look beautiful. Another film on this list I included because I wanted to show off at least one classic movie. I know a lot of studios are just really, at this point, just dipping their toe into classic cinema and putting anything, before 1980 just out there. And, don't worry, it looks fantastic. It looks amazing. So 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick. This looks amazing in 4K. That Dolby Vision just really enhances everything. It looks spectacular. It is a classic film that I remember just not particularly enjoying as much when I was younger, but watching it for the first time in 4K, it was a revelation. It looked fantastic. It looked like it could have been shot yesterday. It's that clean, it's clear, it's just beautiful looking image, but it still maintains its filmic look. Absolutely worth checking out is 2001: A Space Odyssey. Another film I put on this one because it helps show off the color palette of what HDR and Dolby Vision are capable of, and it also really gives you that fine detail and enhancement as far as just, what black levels can do. It's an overall very good looking disc, and that is Natalie Portman in Annihilation. I think it's a spectacular looking disc. This was also a native 4K release. It looks great. Everything from that shimmery wall just really pops. It really gives you that fine amount of detail. Looks spectacular. The movie itself is really good, although I understand it's not for everybody. But if you really want to see what your system is capable of, movies like Annihilation are definitely one of the ways to go. This one I really particularly enjoy because it's musical and it's fairly recent and it looks stunning. I think 20th Century Fox did a fantastic job. That is Hugh Jackman in The Greatest Showman. I actually really enjoyed this movie quite a bit, but I was more surprised at how excellent it looked. I've seen 4K discs that are just like barely bump up in as far as, versus a Blu Ray, even with HDR and Dolby Vision. This is definitely not the case with The Greatest Showman. It looks fantastic. Colors are all over the place. The detail on the costuming, since it takes place in a older period, it looks amazing. It really does. And also just the story, and it's a lot of fun to watch. But if you really want to show off what your system can do, absolutely check out The Greatest Showman. It looks great. This one was another one of those that was one of the earliest demo discs for 4K, and I still occasionally see a list where this is thrown on as a good demo material, and it really is. And as I said, a lot of these are actually released in native 4K. I did include a few upscales here, which I'll get to shortly, but this one was shot natively 4K and released. That is Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant. it looks good. While it doesn't have a huge amount of color pop as far as HDR goes, you get that fine detail and you get the black levels. They look spectacular. I mean, most of the movie takes place in the forest, and there's a lot to catch with the eye. You find yourself just kind of getting lost with the story and just going right into like, oh my God, that looks phenomenal. Looks great. It's definitely demo worthy. It is absolutely, even though it is one of the older discs, absolutely check this one out if you get a chance, The Revenant. And of course, what release, demo release was not complete without a few Nolan films, so I picked out my two that I feel are really demo worthy. First one being The Dark Knight. Absolutely great. You get those nice IMAX scenes as well in addition to the HDR. Looks spectacular. Awesome, awesome visual, just all around the board. You know, everything from black level detail, all that HDR just really enhances this movie better than I ever saw. I was never overly impressed with how the Blu Ray looked. I always knew something was off. But apparently it's been color corrected as far as timing goes by the director himself. He's personally supervised the 4K transfer. I really wish more directors would do that. But yeah, The Dark Knight is absolutely, I mean, come on, if you got to own the movie anyway, so probably go for The Dark Knight. It's definitely something to show off both your picture quality and the audio are also spectacular. And another one, now this one is definitely falls into the showing off your picture and your audio, and that is also another Nolan film, and that is Dunkirk. I just rewatched this one recently for fun, and it's really a spectacular just 4K disc overall. Christopher Nolan knows how to shoot a movie, and he knows how to shoot a movie with, formats like this in mind. It looks great. It does. There's so much detail here. There's plenty of IMAX action as well. You get the aspect ratio does that shift. So it'll fill the screen 1 minute, and then you'll see like just the black bars the second. But it looks just spectacular. It really does. And also the audio-wise is just top-notch. Absolutely check out Dunkirk as far as 4K goes. Now the next three titles here are not native 4K. Now the titles I showed you before were all shot 4K and just released as a 4K disc. Now studios sometimes will do like a upscale. And while that inherently will not be as good as a 4K, like true 4K, it still looks great and it still looks spectacular. And I would put these up against any Blu-ray or DVD any day of the week. But I just wanted to talk about them because I feel that there are a few notable exceptions here to like how good a disc is going to look. First one I'm going to show you is Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, released by Sony. Now Sony inherently is one of the better studios to release 4K. I think they have a lot, just they know what the business is. And they know how like good these discs need to be. And I feel that Sony definitely does a good job. Now, not only is the picture quality good, showing off things like the jungle and levels of detail. I mean, look at The Rock. Like when he's on screen and he's got that sweat going on, I swear you can see little individual beads at any given moment just rolling down his face. It looks spectacular, it really does. And audio-wise, I feel this is absolutely demo-worthy. A lot of these are just good combinations too. You know, where sometimes the audio may not be the best, you know, movies like Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle, definitely just up that game considerably. Looks great, spectacular. I would absolutely recommend this as a demo. And this one I just showed off recently for a good friend of mine. Hey Chris, what's up? And you know, it's a good, while the picture quality is great, it's not like top notch as far as 4K goes. This is also an upscale. But if you really want a demo, audio wise, this is just probably one of the best ones on my list, and it'll actually probably be in my top 5 best audio 4K disc release of this particular year, and that is Overlord. Now, black levels are really nice on this one. It's a nice deep blackness. Also, detail is good, and there is a fair amount of HDR pop. It really looks good in that regard. But the audio this is the thing that came to play today, was the audio. It is awesome, especially those first 20 minutes. You are probably going to be hard-pressed to find something as spectacular as that one. Movies like Saving Private Ryan come to mind, that sort of thing. But that first 20 minutes, your audio system is really going to get a workout. And my final recommendation is going to be another movie this year, First Man. Absolutely good-looking picture. Unfortunately, it is an upscale. It's not native 4K. But this is also another one where the audio is just spectacular. Good movie overall. It's a bit of a slow burn, but if you want a more filmic kind of just like, you know, not so much spectacle, but like just an overall presentation, definitely you could go with First Man. I think it's an absolutely worthwhile disc to demo. It's good visually. There's a lot of good visual shots that HDR really looks nice, But audio-wise, this is the thing that really sets it apart. And movies like Overlord and First Man are just really good examples of how audio is also greatly enhanced either through Dolby Atmos or DTS:X. Those are all good options. They sound great. It's an overall good-looking and sounding disc. So that's my top 10 of what I would personally recommend. Now I could do honestly a top 50, but who's got that kind of time? So hopefully that'll help you out get started in the 4K. Welcome to 4K. It is great. It is awesome. It's an amazing kind of format. So let me know in the comments below if you had a chance to check out any of these titles, and also let others know, like, what would you recommend for first-time 4K adopters? So let me know, and in the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.